Okay. Uh, Hello everybody. Now we have studied till valency of your class. Uh, we know what is valency. This is the combining capacity of the elements to form the compounds, and the valency can be determined either by the loss of electron or the gain of electron or sharing of electrons. Let's see that. Okay, fine. Now what we are going to do is, what the next thing we are going to know is variable valency. Variable valency. Okay, that means some elements show more than one valencies in their compounds. For example, just let me give an example, simple example. Suppose iron. Iron and oxygen combines to form mainly two oxides. One is FeO and another one is Fe2O3. Okay. Here the valency of iron is 2 and here the valency of iron is 3. Now why are they showing the variable valencies? What is the reason for that? Just an example I have taken. Many of the compounds are like that, which shows the variable valencies, and even it is more than 2 also. Now why they are showing the variable valencies? They are showing variable valencies because they are penultimate shell's electron. What is penultimate shell's electron? Okay. First, valence shell. Which is valence shell? Valence shell is the last shell. Okay, so till now whatever we had seen, that the gain or the loss or the sharing of electrons are happening from the last shell. That means that to understand the valency, the electrons of the last shell were involved. Okay, but in certain cases, in case of certain elements, obviously in detail you will understand in the higher classes, maybe in class 11 only you will understand this. Okay, that what happens, some electrons from their penultimate shell. Penultimate shell means one shell before the last shell. One before the last shell. Suppose last shell is the third shell, so we are talking of second shell. Suppose last shell is the fifth shell, so we are talking of fourth shell. The electron from the previous shell and electrons from the penultimate shell also involved to determine the valency. Okay, last shell's electron as well as the penultimate shell's electrons are also involved in determining the valency, and hence they are showing the variable valencies. Okay, now one more thing about variable valency you must understand. Okay, now the one, suppose two compounds, here I have written two compounds. Okay, now here the valency of iron is 2, here the valency of iron is 3. The compounds where the valency is less are determined by the suffix us, O-U-S, okay, us, and the one where the valency is higher, wherever it is higher, we determine it by ek. Okay, so the name of this oxide, how to distinguish between them, both we cannot say iron oxide, both are iron oxide, but we cannot say them both as iron oxide. So this is known as ferrous oxide. Ferrous, you see, I told us is the suffix, and this is called ferric oxide. Okay, so ferrous and ferric. Just like that, as I told, there are so many examples where we can very easily see that the variable valencies are there. And why the variable valencies are there? That is just because that the penultimate shell's electrons, the electrons of the penultimate shell are taking part in determining the valency along with the valence shell. It's not that only the penultimate shell's electron, along with the valence shell electrons. Is it clear? So that's all about the variable valency. Next, we are coming to formula. How to write down the formula of a compound? It's simple again. You know valency. Now writing down the formula is not at all tough. Okay. Now you know the valency. Writing down the formula. Formula is written by, formula of the elements, the simple elements of here, simple compounds, sorry. Formula of the compound, simple compounds. Simple compounds means it's binary compounds. I should say binary compounds. Bi means two things are there. It's not necessarily two elements. It can be two elements, it can be two radicals. I'll come to this, what are radicals. Okay, it can be two radicals, it can be one element, one radical. Okay, yes, so both are possible, but these are binary compounds. Formula how to write. Suppose A and B are combining. It's very simple. This particular system of writing down the formula is called criss-cross method. Okay, criss-cross method. Okay, very simple one, criss-cross method. So see, two elements, it can be elements A and B, both can be radicals, or one can be element, one can be radical. Again I am saying I will come to the part what is radical, we will come to that. Okay, both can be elements, both can be radicals, one can be element, one can be radical, whatever it is. Okay, we know the valencies of these two. Suppose the valency of this is x and the valency of this is y. Valency of A is x and the valency of B is y. So when they are going to combine and form the compound, their formula will be now crisscross. Y will come over here, x will go over there. So the formula of the compound will be AYBX. Okay. Just now we had seen some example of iron oxide. Let us just try to prove it that you can understand that and you can write down any one of molecules or compounds formula. I told iron and oxygen. Let us try to write down the ferrous iron's formula, ferrous oxide's formula. Okay. In case of ferrous oxide, I told the valency of iron is 2 and we know oxygen's valency is also 2. So if we apply the crisscross method, the formula has to be Fe, okay, how much? 2O2. Since these are two both the same, so we can take the simple ratio of it, and if we take the simple ratio, it will be 1:1. So you can write down the formula as FeO. That is why the ferrous oxide has got the formula FeO. What about ferric oxide? What about ferric oxide? This has got valency 3, I told. This has got valency 2. So if we write down the formula, what will be the formula? The formula will be Fe2O3. Okay, right? That is ferric oxide's formula. Is it clear? The crisscross valency is clear? Okay. Any doubt is there, anyone till now? No. So that is how to write down the formula. Now if it is a radical, let me just let me give an example, then we will come to what is radical. Suppose sodium is there, and this is there. This is a radical. Okay, SO4, sulfate, we call it sulfate, is a radical. Okay, now here the valency of sodium is 1 and the valency of this is 2. Obviously this is -2, this is +1, but as I told in the beginning only that we are not going to go to the positive and the negative at this moment. We will come to that. Okay. Now what should be its formula? Its formula should be Na2. Na, how many? 2 are there. And sulfate, that is SO4. SO4, the whole thing is a radical. Okay. SO4 1. Or you can write Na2 SO4 simply. Okay. So that is the formula of this. Suppose if I ask you now, one more thing we must understand, that while writing the compounds, while writing the formula of the compounds containing one metal and another non-metal, we always write down the metal first, then the non-metal. For example, ferric oxide or ferrous oxide's formula, we cannot write like this. We cannot write OFe. We cannot write this. Why not? Because oxygen is non-metal here, iron is metal. So iron, that is the metal, should be written first, then the non-metal. If the compound is made up of a non-metal and a metal, a metal and a non-metal. Okay, is it clear? Any metal is there, that must be written in the beginning. Obviously some exceptions are there that we will see afterwards as it comes. Okay, at this moment you should know this. So that is how to write down the formula. Now if you know the valencies of any element or any radical, you can very easily write down the formula. You have to know now, that is your task, to know the valencies and to know the valencies of the elements as well as know the valencies of the radicals. Okay, so that is one thing. Then we are coming to, I am telling repeatedly, radical. Now I am coming to what is radical. What is radicals? Okay, now radicals can be one element or it can be more than one elements together behaving as a single ion. It can be simply one element or it can be more than one elements but behaving as a single entity, single ion. Okay, then we call it radical. For example, suppose all of you know this reaction, that is why I am writing it. Suppose HCl, that's hydrochloric acid. Okay, plus sodium hydroxide, you know it, that is sodium hydroxide, NaOH. If it reacts, it is going to produce NaCl, sodium chloride plus water. Sodium chloride plus water. That is the reaction we know. Now sodium chloride, sodium is coming from where? Sodium is coming from the base. Sodium is coming from the base. And chlorine is coming from where? Chlorine is coming from the acid. Okay. Now in this salt there are two radicals. One is this and one is this. Obviously they are in the form of their ions. Sodium positive and chlorine negative. Okay. This sodium positive is coming from base. That is why this is known as basic radical. This is known as basic radical. And since this is coming from the acid, we call it acid radical. But whatever example I had given, in both the cases, the basic and acid radical, the number of element is 1. It can be more than one element. As I told sulfate, you had heard about sulfate. What is sulfate? SO4, and its charge is -2, means valency is -2. And that is called what? That is called sulfate. That's a radical. That's one entity. It's not sulfur and oxygen separately. It's a sulfate and that's one entity. For example, nitrate, NO3 minus nitrate. Okay, minus means -1. That's its valency. That is called nitrate. That's one entity. It's neither nitrogen nor oxygen. It's just one entity. Okay, and it's a radical. Okay, I wrote 2 negative. I'm writing 1 positive also. NH4 positive. NH4 positive. This is neither nitrogen nor hydrogen. It's called ammonium. Ammonium radical. This is a positive radical. Okay, so the radicals can be one single element or it can be more than one element just existing as a single entity, either positive charge or negative charge. If it is coming from the acid, it's acid radical. If it is coming from the base, it's basic radical. Yes, so sulfate is what radical? It's coming from where? It's coming from acid, H2SO4. So it's a acid radical. Nitrate is coming from where? Nitrate is also coming from acid, HNO3. Okay, nitric acid. So that's also a acid radical. But ammonium chloride is coming from where? Ammonium chloride is coming from base. Why it is coming from base? Ammonium hydroxide, NH4OH. That is why, or OH negative. OH itself is a radical, negative. Okay. Fine. So this is what? These are the acid radical and basic radical. So we can very easily conclude to the fact very easily that the positive ions, positive part of the compound are basic radicals because they are generated from the base, and the negative part of the compound are acid radicals because they are generated from the acids. Is it clear? The radical is clear? Very good. Now the next thing we are going to study is naming of the compounds. How to name the compounds. Naming of the compounds. Next is naming of the compounds. Now, first of all, naming of the compounds. Naming of the compounds. First of all, first type of compound, a metal and a non-metal. If they are reacting, any example, suppose I am telling a metal Na and a non-metal Cl. Okay, I am just taking one example and I will ask you one example, you can very easily say. So, for these types, first we should name the metal, then we should name the non-metal with the suffix IDE. Okay, so what should be the name of this? The name of this is sodium chloride, IDE. Okay, sodium chloride. Okay, fine. What should be the name of this? Tell me. What should be the name of this? AlCl3. So Al is aluminium. This is aluminium chloride. Why? Because this is made up of, doesn't matter how many numbers are there. To To be perfect, we should say it as sodium monochloride, we should say it as aluminium trichloride, but if you say aluminium chloride, it's perfect. Okay, that's when a compound is formed by a metal and a non-metal. Now the second one is two non-metals. The second one is two non-metals. Two non-metals. Second type is two, both are non-metals. Non-metals. Okay. When two non-metals are there, for example, suppose, just let me take an example, PCl3. PCl3. Okay, PCl3. Or suppose SO2. SO2. Okay, anything. Now, in this particular case, the first non-metal is named as it is. Before the second non-metal, before the name of the second non-metal, okay, obviously IDE will be there. There is no question of IDE will be there as the suffix. But before that, before writing that, we must mention the number. We must mention the number. Okay, if it is 2, we mention it by di. If it is 3, we mention it by tri. If it is 4, we mention it by tetra. If it is 5, we mention it by penta. Okay, if it is 6, we mention it by hexa. Okay, this much if you know, that is more than enough. Okay, if it is 7, we mention it by hepta. Okay, and if it is 8, we mention it by octa. Fine. Up to here, let me get octa is not going to come. Hepta up to hepta, if you know, it's enough. Actually, for you, it is hexa the key. Okay. So, what should be the name of PCl3? Name of P. Phosphorus. Now, I am not going to write phosphorus chloride. If it would have been a metal and non-metal, we would have written phosphorus chloride. But now we must write what? For 3, we must write phosphorus trichloride. So same way, what should be the name of this? The name of this will be sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide, because both are non-metals. Both are non-metals. If I tell you to write down the name of PCl5, what should be the name of it? Phosphorus 5 means what? Pentachloride. Phosphorus pentachloride. Hope you understood this. If it is for two non-metals, okay. Now, the third part, the third thing is two elements and oxygen. If the compound is made up of two elements, any two elements and oxygen, it can be metal, non-metal, whatever. Two elements and oxygen. If it is made up of that, oxygen, then that does depend on the number of oxygen. That does depend on the number of oxygen. Okay? What is that? First of all, these type of compounds is finally suffixed by ITE. That's the final thing. ITE. You will understand that when I write down the example. Now, if one oxygen is there, we write it hypo. Okay? If two are there, we don't write anything. Nothing. No suffix. No suffix or no prefix before the last one. Okay? If the third one is there, if three are there, we call it hypo. Then nothing is there. If the third is there, we call it ATE. Then the suffix is ATE, not ITE. Okay, for the first two it is ITE. The next one is ATE. And if four are there, we write it PAR and ATE. Let's just take example. You can understand it better. Okay, I'm just writing few compounds or four compounds. NaClO, NaClO2, NaClO3, NaClO4. See, very simple. These are the compounds made up of how many elements? Sodium, chlorine and oxygen. Two elements and oxygen. Two elements and oxygen. Two elements and oxygen. How they are varying? They are varying only by the number of oxygen atoms. Now what did I say? If there is one oxygen atom, we write it hypo and ITE. So the name of this will be sodium hypochlorite, ITE. Hypo is coming, hypo and ITE. Okay, sodium hypochlorite. What should be the name of the next one? If two are there, there is nothing over here, prefix में कुछ नहीं है, and finally it is ITE. So what should be the name of this? Sodium chloride. Nothing. Sodium chloride. Is it clear? Sodium chloride. Okay. Next one. You see, if 3 is there, there is no prefix, and the suffix is "ate". So what should I write over here? Sodium chlorate. Chlorite it was there. Now it is sodium chlorate. Yes, is it clear? And last one, if it is 4, then comes par as the prefix and "ate". So it should be sodium perchlorate. Okay. Hope you understood this. This naming is happening when? This naming is happening when there are two elements and combining with oxygen and producing the compounds. Now depending on the number of oxygens, their formulas their namings are different. Is it clear? Next one is naming of acids and base. Okay. For binary acids. Binary acid means, once again, binary, I told you what is binary. Binary is nothing but that two elements are involved. For example, HCl, a simple one, HCl, two elements are involved, HCl. Okay, then we write it as ic acid. So it is hydro, you know it, hydrochloric, okay, ic acid, hydrochloric acid. So the suffix is ic acid. Okay, and if there is a radical present in the acid, there is no suffix or no prefix. This ic is not added. Okay, nothing is there. For example, suppose H2SO4. SO4 is what? SO4 is a radical. And what is the name of this radical? The name of this radical is sulfate. So in this case, you can write it as hydrogen sulfate or hydrogen sulfate. Simply hydrogen sulfate. And commonly this is known as sulfuric acid. Or you can write it as sulfuric acid also, but that's a common name. That we call trivial name. We call them as trivial name. Okay, that is the next topic. So hope you understood. Slowly we'll learn these names. That is nothing very serious thing. Okay, next one is trivial name. Trivial name means certain names which are not following the rules, certain compounds which are, next one is trivial name, just like tribal names, okay, which does not have any rules, trivial names. Okay, what is that actually? For example, suppose H2. Now see, if I try to name them according to the rule, it should be what? This is a non-metal, this is also a non-metal. Okay, two non-metals are adding. We know if two non-metals are adding, this should be hydrogen oxide, right? Or dihydrogen oxide. But do we say it as dihydrogen oxide? No. What do we call it? We call it water. Okay, that water is a trivial name of this. But if we follow the chemical rule, then the chemical name of this should be dihydrogen oxide. Or for example, suppose NH3. This is also two non-metals are there. Now if I follow the rule, then the name of this should be nitrogen trihydride. But what is the name of this? Do we say it as nitrogen trihydride? Certainly not. We call it ammonia. Okay, that is the trivial name and everybody knows it by that particular name. Okay, that is trivial names. Fine. So that is all about naming and finally writing down the formula. How to write down the formula, or You already know how to write down the formula. Now just the opposite. From the formula, how to find out the valency of the substances or valency of the element or the radical. You know it. Suppose the formula is AX BY. I told A can be what? A can be an element, B can be an element, A can be a radical, B can be a radical, A can be a radical, B can be an element, whatever. Both can be element, both can be radical, one can be element, one can be radical. And the formula is X, Y and the suffix. Clear? So if I ask you what is the valency of A, you can very easily say the valency of A is Y. And what is the valency of B? You can very easily say that the valency of B is X. Very easily say. That is why the formula is AXBY. Like that, if I give you any compound, by knowing the valency of one, you can very easily say what is the valency of the others. Generally, the standard valencies that is taken are hydrogen as 1, hydrogen as 1, oxygen as 2, oxygen as 2 and chlorine as 1. Okay. By seeing this only we can say, suppose for example if I ask you sodium chloride, what is the valency of sodium? You don't have to know what is the valency of sodium. You know that the formula is NaCl, means Na1Cl1. Cl's valency is 1, so we had written it 1. So what should be the valency of N? N will be also 1. Fine. Now if I ask you what is the valency, what you know it already, that is only I am asking. I am asking you what is the valency of Fe in this. You know oxygen's valency is 2. Let this valency is X. Clear? So if this valency is X, the formula is Fe2OX. So 2 and X are same. So X is equal to how much? X is equal to 2. Ratio is 1:1. Since oxygen's valency is 2, so Fe's valency will be also equal to 2. So from the formula only we can measure the value. Okay, one more example. Fe2O3. Fe2O3. Okay. What is Fe2O3? What is the valency of Fe now? Let us find it out. What is the valency of Fe? The valency of oxygen is 2. 2 has come over here. Okay. So what should be the valency of Fe? It's 3 only. It's 3 only. So what is the valency of Fe? It's 3. Simple. So the formula, from the formula also we can estimate, we can find out the valency of that particular element or that particular radical. Yes? Okay. For example, suppose H2SO4. As I told, H2SO4. H2SO4. Now what is the valency of SO4? See? The valency of H is 1. The valency of H is 1. So 1 has come over here. So what should be the valency of SO4? The valency of SO4 is 2. That is why it is over here. So the sulfate's valency is how much? Sulfate's valency is 2. Is it clear? Okay. Fine. Now you know the basics of it and you entered the first exercise. Now what you have to know in between in the book, please read the book after this and see the tables very nicely. You open the tables. I am not going to tell you that you just mug it up. No need. You just open the table, see it once or twice. Some formula, some radicals, how to symbolize that and all these things are given. See the tables nicely. Open the table and solve the numericals or solve the questions, I should say. Solve the questions for 3 times. Automatically those things will be remembered. Don't try to mug up first and do it. Open it. First read it nicely. Read the tables nicely. Understand the table. If any doubt is there, you ask me. Okay. First do that and then you just go to the exercise, the first exercise of your book. Okay. And solve those questions by opening the book and opening the video. Yes. By opening both of them, you just solve it. Okay. Any doubt anywhere, you note it down. We will solve it. Fine. Okay. And then you just automatically learn. Don't mug up and learn. If I ask you what is the month after September, all of you can say November. It's not that you had mugged it up. Okay. It's automatically there in your system. After 3 it's come 4. So it's automatically there in your system. Like that, these also will come automatically in your system if you practice. And that is what I want. That same questions, you might think, sir, I had done once. No. Once doing is not going to solve the purpose. You have to do it twice or thrice. First time you see the book. Second time, try to do without seeing the book. You will stuck somewhere, open the book and do it. Third time, you can do it without seeing. You are perfect. Is it clear? So 3 times you must do it. Okay? Please do it. We will see you in the next class. Till then, you stay safe, stay healthy. Bye.